But with that Luna pickup, it looks like it may just end up being the Gunner gyrocopter.
Yeah, and it's still a big question mark in my mind, but I thought in terms of what Costabile could want to pick if he wasn't going to end up on that gyro, really the Luna and the Morph are the only two heroes I can kind of muster here. And of course, the Morph is a little bit of a toss-up because with the way that Timbersaw works, you're constantly gunning at each other, whether or not, you can actually get killed in that lane. The odds are high that either member could really die as soon as Morph gets online, but that's where the Luna perhaps feels a little bit safer, a little bit more stable, but I'm still very, very concerned for what Thunder Awaken are able to amass here. And yet again, they just are very active on all of their heroes here. And I do think it should at the very least be the Timbersaw Snapfire lane, and we should be seeing this Mars end up in a core position. But at the same time, I still have questions, I think, here for Four Zoomers, especially with their first three picks. Of course, the gyrocopter, like you said, it almost feels like it has to slot in to really just that mid position because otherwise they're running it as a four position with the Tide Hunter at the three. I think at the very least it needs to be a Moo Tide Hunter, but I really do think that they've made almost a drastic misstep here. Not to mention, in previous series, uh, there was just the heel coming out from the rest of the members of the lineup here, and I think that's where the gyrocopter, no matter what position it comes in, you're not really receiving that playmaking that Gunner would have been able to provide on maybe something else, but you're also not getting that increased durability that we always see for Zoomers heroes somehow able to connect here. And to top it all off, Costabile is on a hard farmer. He's not going to be showing up to these fights. He's not looking for a Blink Dagger later on. Wraith King was available, but yet again, axing the Costabile CK so early on in the draft, they didn't have a moment for it either. I do feel like Thunder Awaken have them right where they want them.
Yeah, at this point, this pick for Cause can really be whatever they want it to be, and it still feels like they would have the advantage. So, if you're four Zoomers, technically speaking, we haven't fully eliminated the chance of them getting that sort of double heal with this pick. It's just this is looking like a position 4 hero that they'd pick up, and the number of position 4 heroes that provide you healing and durability whilst also actually being a 4, not just a 5 in disguise, is incredibly low. So they either have to sacrifice maybe some of that playmaking and some of that aggression for a healer, or go without it entirely.
Yeah, and really the options are I'm thinking of the TA, I'm thinking of the troll, even thinking of all the way to the Naga, which we saw getting nerfed slightly in 7.31b, but I feel like any of those choices could just overwhelm the Luna. And of course, they do still need a little bit of that Roach kill, of that everything, but oh, Brazier, okay. Well, that's an immediate counterpick of the Titan lane, so you're not going to get much done on that hero, but a much less greedy pick. All things considered, well, Four Zoomers definitely have the harder farmer here, but now I almost wish they throw this gyrocopter as the four position, give it to Z-Freak, just so that way maybe Gunner can have a little bit more playing potential now that he knows that he's laning either versus a Mars or a Razor, depending on how Thunder Awaken might want to shift things up. But I really do think try to get him a playmaker, Stormstone in the pool if they wanted to go for it, just get someone with a little bit more burst damage. The Invoker is also available, I do believe, and then you slow down the Mars a little bit. You have someone to Alacrity the Luna. It has to be someone who's going to be balancing in between lanes here. I would even stretch so far as to say maybe even the Lena pickup with it getting, I think, slightly buffed again in 7.31b, just having someone to, I don't know, outpace and give burst damage over to the Timbersaw. I feel like no matter what they pick, though, it still feels like it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle here for Four Zoomers.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're just trying to sort of scramble to salvage something, right? So all the suggestions you pointed out would certainly help. None of it's going to feel fantastic because you would then have to push Gyro into a position 4 role that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but running the Luna at the 1 and the Gyro at the 2 doesn't really feel fantastic for them either. So just having to pick the lesser of two evils perhaps here. They're down to 10 seconds left to make that choice, however, and see what it is. Okay, they'll go for the Necro. Now, yeah, who's going to play what? It will be the Luna at the 1. That much we kind of knew. Gunner will play the Necro, so it is a position 4 Gyro.
Yeah, and I don't know why Four Zoomers do this to themselves. I really don't get it. I hate to see Z Freak on a hero like this when there are options available. I would have loved to see him maybe paired with just the Skyreth Mage, as simple as that, and then force Gunner to play the Gyro mid again. But hey, you have a little bit more magic damage. But now they really are, I think, all in here on Gunner, not only doing very well in his lane, but then really finding the Reaper sites, finding the targets on the sides. And hey, yet again, we have this Necro that doesn't really have another Predator in the game. No one's building that Nullifier up very soon. Pakaz isn't going to go for it, even in the first, I want to say, 4 or 5 items that he's going to go right off the bat. But at the same time, I still have a lot of questions, and still the big question of the draft is, how are you going to deal with this Timbersaw? Are you going to have enough magic damage to actually pop him with his ultimate? And what are you going to lose in return when you do use these big ultimates? Because Reaper Scythe, Ravage, these are not low cooldowns. These are commitments, and that's where I think Thunder Awaken might just play the style that they've played pretty much the entire tournament of just run at you, never let up. And I think that's where four Zoomers, they have to be so tight in these lanes, because they start to lose a little bit of ground and they're just going to fall off a cliff.
Yeah, definitely feels like Thunder Awaken will try to maybe push the pace going up against that Luna lineup in particular. So they have done it to a lot of teams. In fact, I think they did it to four Zoomers in game 1 of this series, for that matter. So could be a repeat. And I believe I am getting word from production. So we mentioned earlier, four Zoomers might actually still be alive vis-a-vis tiebreakers if they do win this. I think that is coming into more focus. Still looking for clarification there. So all hope is not lost. Four Zoomers win this game, and well, then we have to bust out the rulebook basically. But the tiebreaker with Hikori could end up being a little bit closer than we might have originally thought. So there are some high stakes here for four Zoomers. But as you said, ET, this is a situation where they've already made life a little more difficult for themselves with some of these choices. But if it works, then they're not really going to care. It's all about the result.
Hey, and at the very least, you don't have to play versus Dark Mega Kunkka, right? You know, banned it out, you know, got smart. I think a lot of other teams, not so quick on the draw, but at least you're going to see him be forced to make plays, at the very least, on a very active hero, but on the Mars, which has that inherent timer. You're not going to see him constantly running around. He is still bound by not the longest cooldown, it's only 90 seconds, but by that Arena of Blood. I'm just worried that Thunder Awaken have too many of those automatic tools, even though Matthew, well, he's dead. And wait a second, is this the first ranged hero Matthew's played in the entire tournament? I think it is, which is kind of funny. He's always been on the Ember Spirit, the Earth Spirit, and I feel like this is the first time we're actually seeing him on that more traditional 4 role.
Not going to be quite as sort of maneuverable on the Snapfire compared to what he was playing before, and honestly, that might matter. Matthew is so much of a factor in terms of Thunder Awaken having gotten all of those strong starts that really put their opponents on the back foot. So if he's more lane-oriented here as opposed to being able to roam and gank, then that might suck for whoever has to lane against him on the four Zoomers side, but as a team, might be able to get a little bit more out of this. So certainly going to make things interesting. I do believe this is actually the way they're going to lane this. They've got Kosabale up top. That was expected. But Z-Freak is actually the one in the lane with him. So they've got the Gyro at the 4, but they're basically going to play him the way that we saw those 5 Gyrocopters in the past.
Yeah, and they've done this many times when they pick up the Chen, but I think large in part just because, well, Husky's jungle is probably going to be a little bit less contested. You're not really ready for him. You're only going to be able to react to this Gyro being top now. So Pandaboo has a difficult decision on how he decides to spend his entry, and actually spends it blocking his own small camp, which is really wise here because, of course, he was going to actually use it to probably unblock his small camp if it was the other type of laning setup. But that's where I think the quick reactions of Pandaboo are going to start to pay off here. Even though that small camp is going to be blocked up, Husky still has options. He has this entire bottom jungle to play with, and even unblocks it as soon as it gets there. So we'll have to see how now Pakaz is going to play, because he should have a very free lane here on the Razor. It's just simply not what you can do here if you're Moo, aside from aggro back, try to get the range creeps with the Anchor Smash, and, well, he's got the Gush, but unfortunately not the most damage because Husky doesn't have that creep. But oh, actually took 2.
Wow.
Get hit by 2 Anchor Smashes and you'll certainly die. That is really strange. I mean, Moo leveled up in the middle of that creep wave, but Pakaz did not respect at all.
Yeah, I mean, exactly as you say, he doesn't show respect to Moo's damage. He thinks, listen, I've got the static link on you. This fight's over, but Anchor Smash is still going to hurt a little bit as Moo will take some damage as well. But at this point, I don't think you really care about that. That's one more kill in this lane than I think really anybody expected Forsumers to get. But just some impressive stuff. Overall, this lane, it still should favor the Razor. That is one misplay, but it's one that really puts Moo in a less terrible position, as that static link really did not last very long. He's going to get turned on. What the hell is happening?
Oh, because he really just not an ounce of respect, and they make that play knowing that Moo doesn't have the Kraken Shell. They push in because there isn't that debuff, but man, you gotta know what kind of lane you're in now, because that's the second time, and that's also the armor creep given over to him. And well, 5 armor, you'd think it doesn't do that much, but this short into the game, I mean, we're at 2 minutes. A tied with, I feel like that's 8 armor isn't going to die that easily, and that's also a trade they make in the full aggro of the creep wave. It's not like they had the wave pushing in onto Moo. I am just bewildered. And yeah, he smokes himself out to make this walk of shame feel a little bit faster, but a massive kind of swing now because Moo, well, what do? You get to walk away. You have boots, you have a bracer, you get all this experience that you otherwise really shouldn't. And now Husky even is probably going to feel more confident to make his play elsewhere. But hey, this is one way for Zoomers to start it off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, winning the unwinnable lane, basically. Although, I say winning it. At least I think they're not going to lose this lane now. I don't know about winning, but Ekaz is just so shut down, and that was just a weird one. Like, that static link does go down, and then Moo takes a step back, and I think Ekaz may have actually taken one step back himself, and that means that the chain immediately breaks, and now this is pressure. Look at this. They even get the creep out in front for the body blocks, and they're not afraid. They're supposed to be terrified in this lane. This is supposed to be, there is no hope for Moo to really do much other than get his own levels. Instead, they are pushing forward onto that Razor.
No, it's incredibly scary. And also, look at these creeps that Husky's actually been able to farm. They're not Harpies, but they're still pretty good. And also in the mid lane, Dark Mega's getting pushed back by Gunner. It's just this laning stage is just balling out of control for Zoomers, and it's exactly what they need. But man, oh man, this is a dramatic fashion and a dramatic turn, especially in the mid lane. Gunner just nearly killing Dark Vega, almost pulling one out from under his opponent.
Yeah, it's exactly what they need. It's just not what we really had expected it to happen. Sacred, well, gonna try to restore normality a little bit there with the kill onto Z-Freak, diving the tower, and your Luna does not want to be involved. You do not have a lot of HP here, and now that he knows there's a point in that Whirling Death, you have to show a little bit more respect, or you could get jumped in on, but Sacred, didn't go for the Whirling Death immediately, so your Luna's going to be able to step away. Now Z-Freak returns, and the danger has passed. The salve will be there to heal Kasabalea.
Still very scary, but now that you've actually gotten that kill from Sacred, I like what we're seeing from Thunder Awaken. He does need to be careful in the immediate, but you see the Snapfire running down bottom, really not showing on the map for a very long time here, but, well, Z-Freak doing a lot of damage here, and he's actually going to get this. I think Sacred's just dead to rights.
Sacred is dropping low, but Cosmo on the bottom lane is getting tracked down again, so... Well, this is just... Everything's been turned on its head, ET. Everything we expect to be sort of going one way is not really panning out according to expectations, because Pakaz just continues to get harassed. Matthew is here. We'll see... well, we'll see what he does. He's not really sneaky anymore, as he should be spotted out by the creeps, but he is still in a pretty solid position. His move is very far forward. Now that static link is going to come into play. Finally, a long duration one, because he's got to watch the health. Husky may just bring him down by himself. He's got the damage. And that's still not really going to work. Maybe if they get the Husky kill to follow it up, that's going to even things out a little bit better. But even this kill does not change the fact that your Razor has died 3 times in 6 minutes.
Yeah, and because for the longest time there, he was trying to get the bait going. He had the 17 stick, he had the Fairy Fire, and yeah, Gunner rotate on Sacred, and they get him in the chain. That's just perfect rotation from him. I don't even believe, no, it's not like Costa Pila is level 6, nor does he have any points up in the beam, really all too far, but they're making the exact rotations they need. This is perfect from Zoomers. They really are playing a tight game here, but really back to bottom. Husky is just spoiling everything. The entire reason Pakaz is that low is because of the salve that he kills with the courier, but we'll finally get revenge here. Problem is Z-Freak, he's coming in here, and will Pakaz go down a 4th time? I think
It's
so.
looking like it. Moo doesn't have a lot of damage though, so
The supports, they killed
they
the
killed
rocket.
it, yeah. If that rocket connects, that kill might happen. Instead, Moo has to try and get away. The cookie though stuns him up. Dark Mago's even going to come in here. Doesn't arrive in time to actually pick up an assist, but now he's looking for a little bit more. The arena onto the tower. He gets the spear. One more right click will get the job done, and Thunder Awaken. Okay. A lot of things going wrong for them in the early stages, but rotations like that could help them try to reestablish some sort of control. Kaz was able to be involved there without actually dying, so golden experience goes into his hands, but you have pushed Thunder Awaken into this kind of position, right? Four Zoomers have drawn, they've drawn blood. They have proven Thunder Awaken to be mortal in these early stages, that they are used to just dominating flat out.
Yeah, and that's also where Gunnar, already picking up the boots of travel, hey, he's going to start running down these lanes, and he is so farmed right now. He's 1,000 on top of anyone else in the game. He's looking to really just be everywhere he needs to be and really never stop farming either. And with the way that the jungle has actually been reworked, especially this troll camp, I mean, 1 death pulse and you're farming so quickly and getting all that regen back into you. That's where I think Thunder Awaken, we'll have to see how they decide to use this next arena, but it's time for them to reestablish some control by, I think, focusing on these objectives. They need to, as they usually do, narrow the field that 4 Zoomers are going to want to play in. The only problem, of course, being that you have this Tidehunter, you have this Ravage. It's going to be a real question of whether or not Sacred can force out, I want to say, those early TPs coming in from heroes. And Sacred, he's going to be hounding this Tidehunter the entire game, but whether or not it actually works, that's going to be up to Costabile and Gunnar, whether or not they have the magic damage to kind of throw a wrench into the works here. But look at the gank, here they come.
Even bringing Gunnar in with those boots of travel, he needs that Reaper side to really just take this kill quickly. And there it is. Perfectly done by 4 Zoomers. They are really hitting every marker that we set out for them through these first 10 minutes, ET. It's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, and with the Luna getting involved, well, where's your weak point? It doesn't really easily present itself, and I think that's why Thunder Awaken almost give up and go for the play top, but I honestly think, well, they might look for Gunnar here, but no, they have to give up on this kill. There's no way this works.
They're going to give it a try anyway. The Lucent Beam prevents Dark Mago from getting the full damage out, so Gunnar heals up, and this is going to turn. Matthew already dead. Dark Mago, run as fast as you possibly can. He's going to be able to get out. Sacred, though, has returned after that death, so things are going to get a little bit dicey there. The stun comes in. The Hand of God, though, will heal him up. He needs to be able to get the Death Pulse out as well. He's just going to survive. Sacred's the one who needs to be a little bit careful. The Lucent Beam's going to stun him up. There's a missile coming in. Spear from the pit, though. That was an interesting maneuver, but not enough. Gunnar still doesn't fall. Sacred's the one to die, and this is going so incredibly well. Every single time 4 Zoomers are getting themselves into any sort of conflict, they've got the execution, and as you said, that time around they take advantage of the fact that Thunder Awaken just are a little too zealous, going for a kill that they really weren't going to be able to grab.
Yeah, and really importantly, they're bringing the numbers. They're finding exactly what they need, and okay, Gunnar, maybe overstayed here. This is your cookie, and actually, what was that random shot?
Yeah, that one went well far of the mark.
Oh boy, that's a really sad whiff for you, and it's why I thought that smoke play with the Mars was a little bit preemptive, because your Snapfire didn't have his ulti, but maybe a rare misclick from Matthew, but that is a huge kill to not get, and sure, you force the TP in from Moo, but I don't feel like we're getting that same tight Thunder Awaken we're used to seeing.
Almost looked like a muscle jerk or something. It just flies off to the tower, basically. He was able to pull the aim back in almost immediately, but you miss one kiss and you don't get the kill. As top lane Dark Mago, he's going to give this a go. He's got Sacred here to help out, so bullying up on Z-Freak a little bit, but now here comes Gunnar. They didn't kill that creep, and the Reaper's Scythe is at the ready. Dark Mago just trying to get himself out of here. Sacred is, at this point, really not going to be able to help, and it's just going to be a death. Reaper Scythe gets it. Meanwhile, Costabile in the bottom lane, he picked up a cause with the help of Moo. They used the Ravage, and oh boy, Thunder Awaken just starting to lose heroes everywhere.
Yeah, Sacred, he's very obnoxious with the pure damage, but he can't really make a play any further, and actually, needs to be a little bit careful here. As soon as those stacks start to click out, it's a little bit scary, but he's going forward. It's just an attempt, but I think Gunner's just too tanky at this point in the game. You really can't make an attempt onto him. Yeah, switching over to the gyrocopter is much easier, but that's where Husky with his creeps just running around are causing so much chaos and really disabling Thunder Awaken from making any kill. And here's the turn on the Matthew. Does whiff, though.
Walk out of the range of that call down in time. Meanwhile, did he? He denied
Yep,
his tower with the creep. Okay, that's... You know that four Zoomers are really sort of at 100% right now if he's making plays like that. Good news for Thunder Awaken, however. They saved their own tier 1 tower down bot. There was a push coming in from the Luna. They did have to TP in some heroes to defend it, but they hold that objective for the time being. But that's it's a silver lining, but it's still overall not a great situation for them. They're starting to fall behind.
Yeah, this is also where you have Blink Dagger and Dark Mako. He's going to be looking for these targets, but he loves Z-Freak, but they want Moo instead. The problem is Moo is very tanky and it's ruined. Yep, he needs both supports here, but I think he's not making the decision fast enough, and it actually gets disabled by the Pine Cone. And well, this is an awkward fight, and Sacred's already lost half HP, and oh no.
So you have to be so careful if that Reaper Scythe catches him out. How long? 15 seconds. Okay. If he can dance around and get himself out of here, he should be okay, but he is rapidly outrunning his reinforcements as he gets hit up by the missile just as he was trying to Timber Chain out, so he is just going to die. Gunner gets the kill. The rest of the lineup so far away, there was no hope of reinforcement. Four Zoomers get another one. Sacred is really not very durable at this point. 4 deaths for him.
No, he's really, I think, playing a little bit too much by himself for this current stage, and as we talk about with a lot of these lineups, not a lot of save from Thunder Awaken. They've gone for this style where they just really have damage, they have control, they have bodies, but that's where four Zoomers, in again bringing more heroes to the engagements that they did in the first game, are kind of just being too much of a wall for them to deal with. They're almost out Thunder Awakening Thunder Awaken, and Dark Mago, he's still looking for his play, he still has his Blink Dagger, but four Zoomers have also shifted their posture to make it so there really isn't a good opportunity for him to find. And who would he even find at this stage of the game? He'd probably look for the Luna, but it's just a little bit too wide of an area for them to ever sync up. And they have the kisses again. They just need to find these targets that, again, they aren't really hitting. And, well, this is going to be another big clash if they want it in the river. But at the same time, for Zoomers, they already have a mech on Chen. There really isn't enough damage on Thunder Awaken's side right now. Especially because Bakaz is going for BKB first. He's looking for that item, and sure, that's going to change everything for him staying on top of these heroes, but again, on to Gunner.
Okay, kisses are coming through. Gunner trying to heal his way through it. Husky has already really kind of thrown out everything he's got, so Gunner may still go down here. The death pulses are helping. He's actually going to survive. Now they'll turn. Sacred's going to get stunned up. Missile coming through to lock him further in place. Gunner, though, is really going to have to be patient. He wants to get in for the scythe, but he can't get too far forward, otherwise he is going to be low. And I mean, how many times has Gunner been put in this exact situation? But once again, ET, the multiple heal strat, we were worried they weren't going to get his move. Look at that, the Ravage is perfect. Dark Mago gets locked down. That Reaper Scythe will finish him. They've got the kill and the tower. Four Zoomers just on top of it, but as we said, in the draft, we were wondering, can they get that second healer that they like? The Necrophos has been so big right now between himself and Husky. Thunder Awaken, they just can't break through. They just don't have enough damage at 15 minutes.
No, Gunner is playing so well with this lead. I think any poorer a Necro, then that is just 100% a kill, but they use everything, and really, they kind of get nothing. They get the tower after the fact as well, and that's as we barrel into this mid-game. A win on Costa Bile is just being the Luna. He's going to just be able to transition more into that actual carry where the Razor's going to constantly look for his farm and much harder to reach places. And okay, BKB's done on Pekaz, but how much is this actually going to change for you? How he plays with this BKB is going to be so important for how Thunder Awaken can actually try and turn this game around. And they're going to run it in their own triangle here. No Ravage though. This could be an overextension, but something's got to change really quick here. They want the fight, and they're going to have to find Gunner first, but do they have enough without the kisses? And Dark Mago's not even here.
We're still getting a long duration static link down though, but there's going to be the Hand of God, the call down coming through to slow him up a little bit as well. So I think they're just going to have to take Moo, but now Dark Mago arrives. They get the arena. The spear stun is there. Gunnar doesn't have any backup, so Thunder Awaken finally getting the team fight that they needed. It's a double kill into Bakaza's hands, and, well, he's going to lose that static link damage in just a moment, but that fight ends right outside of the pit, so Thunder Awaken will go for it.
And this definitely feels like a force because, well, they don't have that much damage, but this is where Thunder Awaken are still a very scary team there. And I brought up that no Ravage. They're definitely pushing into their enemy team's triangle pre-20 minutes without their big ultimate on the Tide, and they're 100% going to punish you for it. But that was the perfect timing of the BKB on Bakaza. Without that, I think he doesn't have the free clearance to just run in through really the entire lineup of 4 Zoomers without having to worry. And is this the shift? Do 4 Zoomers lose because of one really missed team fight? Not really, but this is a lot of momentum now that you've given over to the Razor, which previously was not looking like a very good game.
The net worth lead for 4 Zoomers is basically cut in half in the aftermath of that play, so a real rough one, certainly recoverable, but now your team fights dominance, I guess is the word that we'll use, is questionable. 2 lives on the Razor, BKB completed, right? You take a look at Sacred, starting to build up a little bit more as well, very slowly, but it's technically still happening. Whereas Dark Mago, he is about halfway towards that BKB purchase. So Thunder Awaken are starting to ramp up a little bit here, and 4 Zoomers gotta try and just regroup and re-establish control. Taking the tier 2 bot, certainly going to be helpful. Get them a little bit more map control and a little bit more gold. But do they want to fight into the Aegis here? Because is not the most durable outside of his BKB, so taking him down twice in a team fight is certainly doable, but they're going to need the right initiation, and right now they have eyes on Dark Mago trying to solo push mid.
Oh,
Fast.
yeah, and that's where, very interestingly, Moo, he switched up his build. He actually bought a full plate mail before his Blink Dagger here, so Blink is going to be very partially delayed, and I think maybe that's to allow him to tank up some of the damage that's going to be coming out from the Razor, but at the same time, I feel like the really most important aspect of this draft is just actually catching 4 Zoomers, because without the Ravage, and we saw before, they're stuck running at their opponents more or less with their setup, and, well, Dark Mago is insane, but it works.
Wow.
Okay. Cool.
That could have been punished pretty severely, but he's going to be able to get himself out. A homing missile will hit, but he's too far away. Take the dink, but he's just fine. 4 Zoomers at least keep the tower alive. That's some good news. Still up, still standing, but see how much longer that lasts. His Gunner is just kind of hanging out in the jungle. I don't think he realizes how close he is to the enemy, but does need to be careful. He could get hit up here, but Dark Mago's not going to find that kill by himself, so they don't go in. Meanwhile, that's a lot of TPs into the south side jungle, but they're not going to really catch anyone. So now you've got 3 heroes in the south side with really no objective to immediately go for. Gotta try and group up for something, otherwise this is going to be a rather sizable waste of time for them.
It's a little bit rough. I think this Aegis has really scared 4 Zoomers from making plays. It's where we brought up in the beginning of the draft, just them feeling the cost of their cooldowns here, where their commitments of their spells are a lot more than just them losing some kills or maybe part of the map. But even if they do find those kills, it's where Thunder Awaken are just much less bound by those big CDs, and I think that's where, well, the Aegis is definitely being weighted out here, but Bakaza is going to have a refresher. We're going to have that double Eye of the Storm, double BKB running into your lineup, and it poses the question, are you going to have enough of a physical damage threat coming from Costa Bile that you can dissuade the Razor from just running into you? Is he going to look for items like the Hurricane Pike and the Scotty, so that way the approach becomes that much more difficult? Because as of right now, Costa Bile has gone for kind of the old build, I want to say, on the Luna. He has the Crystallis, I believe, already coming out on the Courier. He's looking for the Ag Shard, but does that really help versus a BKB'd Razor? Not all too much here, and Moo has to be careful in the mid lane, but this is going to be a little bit of a problem.
Static Link just straining that damage away, not really going to be able to turn it into a fight, but, well, where do they really want to go? Do they try for the tower? Right now they're sort of pushing into the jungle, but not going to be able to really find much there. 40 seconds on that Aegis, so 4 Zoomers really are just willing to wait this one out. Meanwhile, Gunnar picked himself up an E-Blade. So that is something maybe a little bit new for the Necro, but oh boy, it may not help him here as he is going to get caught out. Call down will not be enough to save him. Hand of God even comes through. Still not enough. Mu, though, he did throw down the Ravage. Gustavo's now going to come in with that ult. That's enough to take down Sacred. The problem is he's the one who has the static link on him. He's just going to get taken down. Kaz pushed forward by the Cookie. You're going to take out the Luna. Buyback's not available. Mu now is dead as well. Thunder Awaken, wow. I mean, they just go all in. Oh, they're all going to tip up Mu at the end there as well. But that just really ramps up instantly, 0 to 60 in about half a second as Zoomers just lose too much. Gunnar getting caught out is really just killer for them.
Yeah, and I don't even believe, maybe that's the scan coming in from Thunder Awaken, but it felt like the intuition from Dark Mago there, getting the tree cut, just knowing exactly where he was, and it even landed. You had the Hand of God, you had the mech, you had him getting off his Ghost Shroud and his wand, but it just wasn't enough. Without a BKB, you're not survivable enough, and I think Gunnar is now realizing his mistake here. He's immediately turning around in his itemization, but it's still quite a lot of momentum to give up. Sure, your Aegis is gone now. You didn't really lose any damage on your tier 3 after the fact, but even Cook to be like getting clipped by the Cookie there, not able to pop his own BKB. It feels like they were pretty much all in on magic damage at this stage of the game, and okay, Gunnar wants revenge. He has the Reaper Scythe. Could look for it. Probably doesn't want it on Pandaboo, and he'll definitely try and save it if he can, but still, they have to be very cautious about this position, and he's going to use it, so they might immediately go on him.
Yep, there's going to be the initiation. They get the Spirit. Doesn't actually last, though, so Gunnar's still able to move, but he's taking a lot of damage. Now he's trapped up inside of the arena. He's going to just look for the TP home, but the Cookie is there to cancel. A little bit too greedy. Listen, if you're going to throw the Scythe, then just do it and get out. He tries to save it for as long as possible. By the time he realizes he's not going to get away with that, he then has to use it, and that leaves him too vulnerable. As speaking of vulnerable, Dark Mago.
Everyone likes to die.
Okay.
Now he tried to get the spear back on Costabile, and he did force the BKB out of the Luna, but he didn't have a BKB of his own, so kind of overextended. Nor did he have an arena at that same breath. But hey, you know, gotta keep it close, gotta keep it even. Plus, both mid laners going down in such fashion doesn't really change the state of the game all too much here, because really the biggest change that's gonna happen is Kaz is a full nullifier almost completed here. This is a massive problem, and it kind of appears on a Z-Freak, and Z-Freak's gonna not TP away from that. And well, he used his BKB, but with Refresher up in 7, he really needs to. He's not going to be too hard pressed for getting that charge back, but I don't even think there's going to be a fight in the next 60 seconds.
In the meantime, Mu has purchased the Blink Dagger. It is completed, but we are nearing the 25-minute mark, so... Well, a Blink Ravage is always going to be a threat, but the timing where it would have been the most terrifying thing on the map has already passed. Now it's just sort of a road bump that Thunder Awaken have to be aware of, so... We've seen Mu make big plays, right? As I said, Blink Ravage gets you into a fight, then you can still do a hell of a lot, but he has to be initiating with that Ravage. The last couple times we've seen it, it's felt sort of reactionary, and four Zoomers haven't always been able to utilize that defensive Ravage to actually win the engagement.
No, definitely not, and I think really until we get that BKB from Gunnar, even defending these towers, anything upside from the high ground is still very risky, and they might just try to immediately blow up Pakaz, and it just is going to work.
They needed to initiate with it, they'll do exactly that. Pakaz is already dead, now they're looking for more. Sacred missing the Timber Chain, so he is still sort of stuck in this fight, but Matthew is the far easier kill. Simply go after that first. Once they got it, though, they're back onto the Timber. Sacred just going to keep on cutting his way through here, but that homing missile is going to do its job. It will eventually connect. Ooh, look at that, even blinking forward to make sure that he's going to stay within range, make sure that that Timber doesn't get out, and now Sacred has used almost all of his mana trying to escape this, and he still hasn't actually gotten out. Feels like he's just eventually going to be taken down. Z-Freak gets the kill, and four Zoomers, well, shifting momentum once again. They are just really making a move there where that felt like they shouldn't have, with heroes not quite in position, but Mu with that Blink Ravage really just hit up onto everybody.
Yeah, they got the setup. They weren't actually able to place this ward up on the high ground. If they did, that would have been blown wide open if the Razor got the BKB off, but it's just the surprise factor catches them off guard. It's a massive shift in net worth. Unfortunately, Well, Roche has the longest possible respawn timer. If Roche was alive right now, it would be the perfect kind of objective for Four Zoomers to take. But because it's not alive and Radiant even scanned because they know that it should be up by now, but unfortunately, the Roche is just heavily favoring Thunder Awaken here. And, well, here's the cost. No Ravage for another 60 seconds. This is your revenge play. They've been very patient. The remaining members of Thunder Awaken just staying alive, biding their time, sitting on their hands, but they need to do a very good job here on Four Zoomers of not getting caught. I think Husky, you're fine with this, but still, they need to kind of retreat back to the base now because this mid tower is definitely going to be taken.
Husky goes down. Moo and Gunner make the retreat immediately into the base. Z-Freak, he's got his TP, and Starblade, he's going to remain outside the base for a little while, trying to keep that creep wave pushed out, go for that real sort of split game. But that means he also needs to be very careful he doesn't get caught out. He's sitting on a BKB TP, though, so he should be fine, but just keep an eye out. And actually, Z-Freak's even just going to stand next to him just to make sure nobody's coming after them.
No, they get to walk away. Costa Vila gets to farm out top. Really doing a good job of splitting the map here, but I think now this is where this would be a really tight smoke here from Four Zoomers after Costa Vila pushes in the mid wave, especially if they can find another fight bottom where there still isn't that high ground ward on Thunder Awaken. This is their big kill. This is their big moment to swing the game in their favor. If Bakaz doesn't react to this next Ravage, a game's blown wide open because Roche is right there. They would immediately take it. They see two cores in the mid lane as well. They just need to be really cautious about this hill, and Huskies, he's trying to claim control. But now Thunder Awaken know exactly where Four Zoomers are. It's just a question whether or not they want to take the bait up on the high ground here, because now they know the stakes as well. Roche has been scouted out by both squads.
We'll know that Sacred's in here as that Centaur does spot him, but well, this could very well be the fight that determines the game. Four Zoomers just gonna play it cool, try and take it slow, whereas Thunder Awaken really kind of just doing the same. Nobody wants to be overly hasty moving into the Roche pit, but eventually someone's gonna have to do something. Roshan, in the meantime, will sit and wait as Four Zoomers are gonna go for the smoke. They'll blink first. See what they can get. They need the long wrap, though, because this Snapfire is in the perfect position to ruin this entire maneuver.
Okay, let's see this. Gunner also picked up a Blink Dagger, so he's going to be able to connect regardless of where really anyone else is. Sacred, he's teasing a little bit, but as soon as they see the Luna, they know this is not just Gunner playing in the mid lane. This is the entire lineup here, and do they want to jump absolutely everyone? Gunner's so hesitant right now. Even though Sacred took a lot of damage, he was pretty much half HP, probably wouldn't have died to the Reaper Scythe. He wouldn't need to get Eth-bladed up, but this is the kind of tightrope that you're dancing on right here, especially because Four Zoomers are kind of playing in the dark. They're really far away from their own vision. This could be Thunder Awaken's chance, but it's all up to Dark Mago. He needs to be the one to initiate here, and he can't just blow his arena on a BKB target.
Need that big play. It's basically Dark Mago versus Moo in terms of who gets the earlier and better initiation. So, well, it's pretty tense, and that pause certainly isn't helping for the anxiety. Is these two squads in a position now, they don't quite see each other yet, but they know that each other are in the area. So, like I said, this could very well determine how this game goes. Winner of this fight, presumably, is going to be the one to take Roshan and either break the game open on the Thunder Awaken side or finally swing things definitively into their own hands if you're Four Zoomers. So, I think we had a ready out from one side. Yeah, okay. Thunder Awaken are good to go. So we're waiting on the all clear from the Zoomers before we get back underway.
Yeah, and man, it really is a tightrope that we're balancing on here because looking across the items, it's really no reset. We're actually playing with a lot of buybacks, I want to say, especially on the Thunder Awaken side. Actually, it's just Sacred. I'm looking at Sacred sitting on 3,000 gold here just because I feel like he's teasing his life a little bit. If he gets maybe the Reaper Scythe canceled out on him, then he immediately gets back in the fight. But that's also where looking over at Costa Bile, no Satanic, no Scotty, no Force Staff. He really is just kind of hell-bent here on dealing out damage with his Lucent Beam, with the Ag Shard, and then hoping that he's not the one taken out. But have they ventured too far from the pit?
Yeah, they backed off. Thunder Awaken are just going to go right into it. They do this pretty quickly. Look at the armor reduction that they've got at their disposal. Now the rush is going to come in and they're baiting it. Man, Smoke, go back out of the pit. Who steps forward? It's going to be Z-Freak. That's not the hero that Thunder Awaken wanted, but they're actually going to throw Sacred in with the spit out. How does this fight really go, though? They need to be able to get Gunnar. They've completely isolated him in the river. They will take him down. Sacred sacrifices himself in exchange, but as you said, he has buyback. He's back into the fight. Kusable now has to pop the BKB, but in the middle lane, Dark Mago, he threw down the arena. It only hits onto Z-Freak, though, but that means Z-Freak can't help, as the cause will push in. They get Kusable, but who? Responding with the Ravage. It's a nice play, but where is the damage to follow it up? They just don't have any with their cores gone. And yeah, they're going to tip Moo there. That's a big Ravage, but it's an irrelevant one. It's Thunder Awaken. They don't even need Roche now. They're directly into their opponent's base. Buybacks basically non-existent at this stage. And for Zoomers, I'm not sure why they went so far away from the pit. They then have a knee-jerk reaction back, and that's exactly when Thunder Awaken spring the trap with the smoke.
Yeah, and you even feel like they were cool, calm, and collected for a second there as Sacred teases the tier 4s with the flamethrower, but Z-Freak walked close to the pit just to break the smoke because they stepped too many steps outside, so they saw it with their vision, but then, unfortunately, Gunnar gets caught isolated from really anyone else, and you were dealing with Sacred, but at the same time, he took everything, and playing around with this buyback, exactly like I said, he will 100% take a one fight like that, and will move. He wants to get back in here, but what are you looking for? They need to find Pakaz, but his BKB is already back up, so this is just going to be a full lane, and now 4 Zoomers are going to get dragged out of their base to run at Roshan. This is a secondary chance at maybe a successful fight here, but this is also without their Ravage. This is without really any contribution from their Tidehunter. You have to wonder if 4 Zoomers might have just gotten this game blown wide open, and they are going to have to run immediately back. They're pinging out Dark Mago in the bottom lane as maybe Thunder Awaken overstaying here, but they need to find the perfect target here. The question is, who are they finding them with? Because without the Ravage, there's no blink stun, there's no initiation. You have a Z-Freak gyrocopter, and they're being met on the ward. This is a really tense high ground to fight.
There's the spit play once again. They get the stun down onto Gunnar. Matthew was just gonna absolutely get his team in there, and Gunnar's dead. The buyback is not available. 4 Zoomers have to retreat with anyone that they still have, but they're losing too much. Z-Freak will go down. They're at least going to get Kusable out of here this time, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough. Just have to continue their retreat, but here's Dark Mago with a haste rune and a BKB pushing forward. That forces out the BKB from your Luna, and he's now going to pop the Eclipse, so it's going to turn around. Sacred dropping low, but the arena actually, the arena is nice, but the spear actually pushes them back into Sacred, but who cares? They still get the kills that they wanted. Kusable goes down, Husky dead as well. Well, no call there yet. Sacred put BB in the chat. Not sure what's up with that one, but dude, Matthew.
It's a little bit of some BM, but yeah, Matthew just keeps on setting it up, and I mean, he's even poking. He's like, "Come on, leave the base. It's time. Where are you?" And wait,
no.
Dark Mago, no. I mean, well, the game's not over. Gunnar's about to respawn. This would be an astounding way for Thunder Awaken to lose, but they actually have to leave. They actually have to back up here. Gunnar needs to be, yeah, you have to be so careful of that nullifier still, but no way. Oh
no, they hit him. They got the nullifier. Pakaz is going in. Gunnar dropping low. Hand of God coming through for the heal. Not going to be enough, though. Gunnar's dead. That might just be it. Lou's going to try to jump in. He has the Ravage, but he doesn't really have a great opportunity to use it, and there's your GG call. The sabotage from Matthew will not end up costing them as Thunder Awaken take both games of this final distance here.
Oh man, that is a rough turn of events, but really I think Pakaz turned into the hero that they needed in this game. I think his item purchases were absolutely perfect, and really it was that 180 in the Radiant Triangle. I don't want to say that's where the game turned around and they just kind of lost it off of that, but it really felt like after that, 4 Zoomers gave up so much control. Suddenly, Gunnar was killable. Suddenly, they ran out of gas in the tank. And I think in the period of time where they just weren't able to spin the game back in their favor, it just ended up being a really unfortunate circumstance. They really were riding this fine line of their advantage where they were so successful in their lanes that Thunder Awaken had to wait. But Pakaz made his entrance on the game. I mean, he was 2-4-1, got the BKB, got a kill on the Moo and Gunnar, and then it feels like it was Guns N' Roses ever since. And I think for Zoomers really, I don't want to say they threw this one away, but the first 20 minutes of the game, they were looking hot. They were looking like they were actually able to just ride that wave, but then everything comes crashing down at once.
Yeah, taking a look at the graphs here at the end of that one, it wasn't a massive lead for them, but it was a lead up by 5 or 6K, just sort of eyeballing that gold graph, and
Mhm.
sort of they lose it. That advantage sort of slips through their fingers, and to be honest, their teamfight execution just got terrible. I mean, Gunnar gets caught out so far away from the rest of his team, which, if you're the Necrophos, okay, sure, you're looking for weak points, right? If you can get in there, use that burst damage, try to make use of this E-Blade, but I think that might have been the trap for Gunnar. He goes for an E-Blade when maybe he shouldn't have, and by the time he realizes that, he's already bought it. So now he's sort of thinking, I have to find a use for this to justify it, and that led to him being out of position quite a few times.
Yeah, and I think that's also where, and as we've spoken about for teams that are actually able to punch up versus Lava and Thunder Awaken, where sometimes they even fall prey to it, they itemize as they expect to be winning 5, 10 minutes ahead. And I think that's where Gunnar, looking at the way he chose to itemize, he doesn't expect that he's going to die at the 17-minute mark. He doesn't expect that to be a huge shift in momentum. And then this Ethereal Blade timing, it doesn't feel very good anymore, but you lose that one fight, the game starts to change in a direction that you're not ready for, and then the BKB never even comes out. And I think that's really the big trap that Four Zoomers fell into, where they were almost winning too hard in the early game, and then when Thunder Awaken actually gets some steam underneath them, there just isn't enough time. You're not a flash farmer on that hero. I mean, even looking back at the Blink Dagger on Moo, where he felt like he needed the plate mail to be up there with Gunner, and then once you need the initiation to actually have that tool to get the kills, it feels like you're pulling teeth. And I think that's where Four Zoomers absolutely fell into the trap.
So many teams, as you say, falling into that exact pitfall where you're thinking, you know what, we got a big enough lead here, let's skip a couple of steps. Those steps are important because your opponents are still playing against you, and Four Zoomers end up paying for it. And it's even worse there because, as we mentioned, if they could have won that game, then uh, math-wise, they might have still been in it, but now with Thunder Awaken getting the 2-0,
Yeah,
you
no
can pretty
question.
much, yeah, throw that out the window. So the final standings, it'll be Thunder Awaken in first. Lava will take second. Infamous and Hikori third and fourth, respectively. That will be your upper bracket. That leaves four Zoomers now. In the fifth seed, Wildcard sixth, King of Kings seventh, Dog Champ eighth. So those are the seeds. We'll actually throw up the group stage standings for those of you who are more visually oriented, but we don't actually know the matchups just yet. The higher seed gets to pick their opponent between the two lower, so we'll get that decision coming out from the teams. Have a playoff bracket updated, but for now we do know who's going where, and unfortunately for four Zoomers, they are heading down to lower bracket to start their.
Yeah, and really, it's been a fun run of things. I think for Zoomers, they've definitely gotten, I want to say, more experimental than any other team so far in this tournament. I wonder if once they are now in it, and of course, the first game they play coming into that bracket is going to be with elimination on the line. But I think maybe look at heroes like the Mars, maybe pull it back a little bit, pull something a little bit more stable. And of course, in that lower bracket, depending on who they're playing against, they're not gonna have to deal with some of these SA beasts. Maybe. We'll have to see how they go, because I do think they get to pick their opponent, because they
Yes.
definitely are, on the outside looking in, and of course, almost made upper bracket if maybe they were able to get a win here. But at the same time, I think that's where, maybe it's time to pull out your best strat, just try to get as far as you can, even though, I mean, first team to break up the techies, right? That's something to be said. Maybe they'll be the last team to break up the techies. We'll have to see come playoffs.
Yeah, and I do believe since they are the fifth seed, they'll get to choose between King of Kings and Dog Champ for their matchup. So yeah, they may not really have to deal with some of these SA teams that were giving them trouble until later on in the bracket, assuming that they make it that far. Lower bracket's crazy. Anything can happen. But with that in mind, that is the end of the group stage, ladies and gentlemen. It's been quite the marathon, but we have made it through. It's going to be playoff action coming up next. Playoffs will begin on the 2nd. We are taking a day off tomorrow where there won't play. So we're diving into that playoff bracket starting the 2nd. Not 100% sure of the start time. I think it might be changing a little bit. there will be obviously something vis-a-vis social media to confirm that or not. But for now, we will be shutting things down here. Congratulations to Thunder Awaken as they get first. Commiserations to Four Zoomers as their group stage run comes up just that little bit short. But yeah, we're gonna be heading on out of here. Et, really final thoughts, closing thoughts on the group stage.
Really? I think coming in the playoffs, it's time to look out for these SA squads. This is the first time, I think, and of course, we don't have some of the mainstays. Quincy bowed out. We don't have Undying playing in this BTS Bro series, but four SA teams all in upper bracket, all starting out, that's going to be a sight to see, especially with how much these teams play against each other inside and outside of Dota. I feel like this is a tournament for SA, and it'd be amazing to see if we do see yet again, I don't know, maybe a grand final between the SA giants. But I think seeing four SA teams in the upper bracket in such a fashion, it's going to be very exciting to see. Even though maybe we see a back to form for some of these NA teams, especially for Zoomers, as they typically do make that lower bracket run. But I'd also love to see if come grand final, lower bracket grand final, if we do see any NA squads poking up, it probably is going to be for Zoomers.
Yeah, which, well, don't want to throw too much shade at Wildcard. They could still do something as well, but Four Zoomers do have maybe that reputation from previous pro series
Hmm.
of making. Whereas Wildcard are maybe a little bit more untested, but we shall see. As I said, playoffs getting started on the 2nd. So for now, we are going to be hopping on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you join us for the start of that playoff bracket. And enjoy the rest of your night. We will see you later.